Mr. Speaker, you sacrificed me. You sacrificed Susan Kihika. Don't sacrifice Kenya. Don't sacrifice, Mr. Speaker, 18 counties that are suffering. Mr. Speaker, that decision is on your chair, Mr. Speaker.
What got Kenya's Senate so fired up this past month? Yep, you guessed it. Money. 316 billion shillings to be exact. A bill setting parameters on how Kenya's 47 counties would share this revenue became so polarized and emotional.
Mr. Speaker, today, history is before you. Today, destiny is staring at you.
If, Mr. Speaker, you even direct we proceed, there will be so much chaos in this floor, Mr. Speaker. You will have to call police to arrest all of us.
Could you, Mr. Speaker, just advise him not to threaten chaos in the House?
Keep your cool, boy. The same person who blew whistles on the president is advising me about chaos? What are you talking about?
I mean, on a scale of Ukraine parliament to China's People's Congress, this debate was more on the touchy side.
Mr. Speaker, Senator Orengo, you cannot have your cake and eat it. You had your time at my age. Allow us also to have our time. Yeah, so you don't interrupt us. Mr. Speaker,
Order, Senator.
Mr. Speaker.
Order, Senator.
The stakes were so high that even before the last Senate sitting, 3 senators were dramatically arrested.
We are meeting. You cannot subject me to a flow in the cells. That will kill me. I'll not get into that cell. Ati mimi nilale kwa cell ambaye Joshua unanichaji ya COVID. Are you sick?
Prompting the House to discuss these arrests for more than half of the proceedings. And by half, I mean 3 hours. So we wanted to ask the question that's on everyone's mind.
What is it about this formula that is getting us so worked up and emotional?
We reached out to the folks at the International Budget Partnerships. They work with budgets every day, engaging ordinary citizens on their understanding of county revenues and budgets and how the national pie can be shared.
John, people are asking why now? Like, why are we fighting about this now?
This formula was actually tabled in the Senate by the Commission on Revenue Allocation at the beginning of 2019. So it's actually just been sitting in the Senate for the last 1 year, more than 1 year. The urgency of this and the slow nature in which it was handled in the last year is a bit baffling.
The financial year began beginning of July, and without the formula, which is passed by Parliament, they cannot pass the law that will distribute the money. So as we are talking, no money can be disbursed from the National Treasury, National Exchequer to the County Revenue Fund. So it's basically like it's end month, HR is supposed to disburse payroll and pay people, but the boss has not approved the increments and the money is to be transferred to the operational account. So the HR guy is just sitting there wondering, so what do I do? You guys are hammering the HR guy, but he's saying, Sharia hakuna. So that's exactly what's happening.
So counties are basically broke. In fact, crucial county workers like doctors have already downed their tools over pay delays. And in the middle of managing a health pandemic, this is simply a big cog in the wheel.
In the constitution that we passed, we allocated certain functions to county governments and others to national government. And we put a principle in the constitution that finances will follow functions. In other words, that Abraham is given the responsibility of providing health services. The money for health services then should go to Abraham. Asha is given the responsibility of security, and therefore the resources for security should go to Asha. Now, what the first 2 formulas did, they went for a basic way, and I call it a basic way, of distributing money.
Previously, counties shared the funds based on 4 main factors, like the county's population, how poor or wealthy they are, their landmass, and there was an equal amount that every county would get to ensure they ran their day-to-day business. The first and second generation formulas were passed when the Commission on Revenue Allocation was headed by this guy, Mika Cheserem. After his term expired in 2016, new commissioners were appointed. Enters Jane Kiringai and her team, who came up with a new approach to sharing revenue.
They introduced something very different from the other two formulas by saying that yes, Nairobi has many people, Turkana has fewer people, but they all have to provide certain services. Can we start measuring those services directly?
So the four main factors that were initially used to distribute these funds were broken down to reflect deeper nuances of the population served by the 47 counties.
This is what this means, saying the biggest function that all counties are performing is health. We know very well that we have certain measures that we know about health. We know, for instance, how many people visit health facilities, inpatient and outpatient. We know the disease burden. We know the coverage of facilities across. Can we use that and allocate some money directly so that then we stop saying that because you have more people, therefore there are more people will be sick?
And of course, this meant that if the proposed formula was to be adopted, it would affect the bank balance for many counties. And to top that, there's one very important factor that tilted the scales even further.
The census of 2019. Now, if you asked me, that is where the problem sits. When you use the 2019 census, population only, you shift the population only, using the second formula, about 30 counties have their allocation declining.
What's the difference? Like when you say declining,
So
what's the difference?
So declining, the minimum is about 45 million shillings. The maximum is about 1.9 billion shillings. Now you see that's a fair shift.
Mr. Speaker, in probabilities and statistics, when you draw a route diagram, you have two parts. This path is asking us for 15 minutes. We can agree or not. This other one is asking us not to go. We won't agree.
And that shift is what led to the emotional debate in the Senate.
Leaders, let's just try.
I think it's good to start by saying that, number one, I am one of the people who believe that the discussions that we are having in the Senate at the fight are good. To a certain point, because this is something we never had before. As you know, before our resources were distributed based on patronage. How nice you are to the president determined whether you got water or roads and the rest.
Democracy notwithstanding, you can't ignore the silent hand of politics in this entire conversation.
Politically now, this is the politics of it. So the formula sat through a committee that was chaired by the, if I'm not wrong, the Mandera Senator, Mohammed, over the period. But before the discussions heated up as the June deadline in the sense that, there will be no money from 1st of July going to the counties, there was a change in the committees in both Senate and Parliament. And so eject Mohammed, get in Kebiro, the senator for Kirinyaga County. And they take the proposal that had been submitted by CRA and they made shifts in it. So they increased the health parameter, they increased the agriculture parameter, they did a square root of land area, and the final numbers again, remember, the numbers are already dancing off the roof because of what I have explained about population and the poverty numbers. So that completely now threw the numbers off. So what do people do? Every senator now jumps in with trying to solve a problem in the name of my county will not get less than what they got in 2019, 2020. Never, 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 never.
Rose Nyamunga, she's interfering with my flow of thought. I don't know what she has eaten. She was here to tell us.
You contribute.
So that's the gist of it all. The delicate and not so delicate balance of coming up with a formula that would make everyone happy. Senators have used all means. The good old parliamentary debate.
Be reminded that when we were presented with such an opportunity, we voted for things to go this way.
Arguments of who's poorer than the other.
My people are losing. Should I be arrested because of that? I don't think that is right.
Finger measuring square root board mass calculations.
For 15 minutes, we can agree or not.
and even borderline tears.
Mr. Speaker, you sacrificed me. You sacrificed Susan Kihika. Don't sacrifice Kenya.
The parameters are informed by data. And that data will always change. So inevitably, the allocations that are the product of these formulas will always change.
The debate below the formula is how much is being divided at the end of the day. Now, the question we have asked, and this I say we have asked because we have tabled this, is to say that none of us knows how much money is enough for counties. Because the process of trying to cost, or at least come to an estimation of how much the functions that were given to counties would cost, was never finalized. So that process was cut off. It was never finalized. So all these figures are just numbers.
When Kenya was debating the allocation to counties in 2012, it was just as heated. So was the next round of approvals in 2015-2016. So chances are, when this conversation comes up again in the next 5 years, we will probably end up in this same exact situation.
What the current discussion in the Senate has shown is that number one is a process that we cannot just leave to the politicians. So as many of us need to contribute to that in whatever form or shape.